Hi guys, it's Jacob from Stringbuzz here, stringbuzzworld.org being a music journalism site, links are in the description down below. And we have the second part of our double feature review today, and that's the other track Neck Deep have released, and that's Happy Judgment Day. So I'm going to refer to the original article as I usually do for these videos, so I hope you enjoy. Now going into this track, I must admit, and this is a bit of a spoiler for the other review, I was incredibly disappointed by Where Do We Go When We Go. I was really excited to make this double feature review, as I always like to hear and stumble across unique promotional campaigns and musical release strategies, since I think music has gone overboard with the most basic hype tactics and clickbait at the moment, rather than actually making each release feel different and unique to the artist, these exciting ploys to get people excited for the music. Shall we see what I thought of this brand new track, however? Well, I definitely had much more fun listening to this track and listening to it over and over again as well. And it is what I like to call a much better thought out Neck Deep track. The riffs are bolstered and strong. The drums, yet again, are great and exciting for me. The bass still sounds like utter crap though, and I don't think that's going to be changing anytime soon. And the vocals are a little bit too overproduced, but it is an improvement, and it settled me after the huge disappointment that came before it. I think it fits into the group's catalogue much better as a refined genre piece, and I always enjoy the incorporation of sort of easy core like sequences within a regular pop punk track, and it also had some hard rock type sequences. I mean, the riff could be taken as a hard rock riff. Having said that, aren't we a bit late to this political message slash scene slash trend? I mean, I've got no problem with it or anything like that, and groups can have whatever political stance they want. I don't really care at all. I'm not on any fence really, but it's one of the limpest and least thought out politically based tracks we've heard in a long time, especially this year anyway, and the lyrics in general, they just need a lot of work for me. Production wise, the track is definitely better produced than Where Do We Go When We Go, and even though that isn't much of a compliment if you have seen that last song review, I still think it did the job for me really. The vocals, although still way too manipulated and way too noise gated, at least sound like they're coming from Ben's mouth this time around, rather than actually just being a musical layer or just a droning layer over the top with no tone or personality to them. The overdriven guitar tones are much better in my opinion as well, since they actually have a bit of thickness and grittiness to them as well. They were way too thin on their last outing, and this was much more pleasing for me personally. The bass is still horrendous though, as I've already mentioned. It is still really bad, and there just isn't any tone to it at all. It sort of wobs and adds some feedback into the transitions by accident really, and you can't even tell the individual notes apart. It's got no twang to it at all. The drum track is spot on though again, and I'll be damned if I ever hear a bad drum track by Danny, by Neck Deep in general. They've always had great drum tracks that are mixed really well, and the dude knows how to make his cymbals glisten and his kick thump. When it comes to the musicality of this track, it's better. It's not great, and nowhere near the standard of tracks like Kalimar or December or some of their bigger tracks, but it is an improvement for me. The guitar riffs, as I've said, sound strong, they sound rough, and much less generic than on the other track which they released. The vocal melodies are a little bit more conjunct this time around and stick into the foreground much better for me this time around. I liked how the song added a little bit of a bridge as well into this track this time around as well, since form is usually the group's main weakness. They never really write bridges. It's just an extension of a chorus, or it's just another repeated verse, and it's stereotypical, this bridge, don't get me wrong, and it's not unique, but it did the job of breaking things up just a touch anyway. The bass is forgettable though, or rather non-existent for the most part, and the song just doesn't have that catchy phrase or sequence to really warrant many re-listens, which I think is a huge shame. Lyrically, I can definitely understand why they are jumping on this train. Just about every other pop-punk band has done it at this point anyway, from Green Day to New Found Glory. They've already released tracks obviously with these sort of undertones, but like those tracks as well, in my opinion, it's a bit weak and it's a bit cliche, isn't it? It just doesn't really fit into pop-punk, at least this current wave of pop-punk. Maybe punk back 30 years ago, of course it fitted into that, but this current wave of pop-punk isn't really politically that sound. And it's just so indirect and phoned in as well, as if they weren't really strong about going down this direction and didn't want to offend people anyway, which again just takes away from the punky aspect. So the song's meaning was really weak and really forgettable. So all in all, I will say it's an above average pop punk track, at least for this year anyway, because I think the pop punk standard has it's plummeted. In 2015, we had one of the best years for pop punk since, what, 2003, 2004. But the last 2 years or so, it's just gone down and down and down again, which again, I don't want pop punk to just be a reoccurring flash in the pan. But I think if you don't take this song too seriously, then it's going to be fine. It's going to do the job. So I gave it a G rating of 6 out of 10, which is just above average. So that finishes this little double feature, and it was interesting. I won't say fun. So if you like this video, then please leave a like, subscribe to see more, and I'll see you around next time. Bye bye.